It isn't too sexy, and a lot of Florida Gators fans hate it, but the Florida Gators benefit a lot from 12 personnel.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free by visiting the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Tuesday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Today's episode, I don't know why I threw myself off by saying my Twitter name, X name, whenever it is. But it did. It's just been a long weekend, you know. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. And like I said, I know that a lot of Florida Gators fans generally dislike 12 personnel. And if you don't know what 12 personnel is, it's one running back, two tight ends. So if you hear 12, 11, 10, whatever it is, just know that first number is the number of running backs on the field, no matter where he's lined up. So they can be five wide, but if there's one running back and two tight ends, it's 12 personnel. So one running back, that's the first number. And then two tight ends is the second number. And then the rest you just subtract by five, and that's how many receivers are usually on the field. So 12 personnel is usually one running back, two tight ends, two wide receivers. Those are your five pass catchers. Or 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end, three receivers. Those are your receivers. That's your five pass catchers. And a lot of Florida Gators fans, at least, on Twitter, in spaces, just in the comments, go, 11 personnel. You got to spread it out. Hell, go 10 personnel. One running back, no tight ends, four receivers. Spread them out. That's successful. I don't know if that's true. Don't you lie to me now. The Florida Gators, and I sent this out to the Locked On Gators insiders, which if you're not a part of that program and you want to be, the link's in the description below. Also, just go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGators. But Graham Mertz in 11 personnel went 209 for 290 passing. So, and this is pass attempts, not including dropbacks. Okay. So just want to throw that one out there. 72.1% completion percentage in 11 personnel. 2,301 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, an average depth of target of 5.9 yards. So that means basically for every time he threw the ball, he was throwing it about 6 yards past the line of scrimmage. Average depth of target is where the receiver is past the line of scrimmage, how far they are past the line of scrimmage when the quarterback's throwing to them. So 6 yards is the average depth of target out of 11 personnel. Those are your base numbers with a 38.6% pressure rate. So 38.6% of all of his dropbacks out of 11 personnel ended up in pressures. Yeah, almost 39% there. Not great, right? Those are the bare bones stats. You look at how you compare them to 12 personnel, and in 12 personnel, which obviously had significantly less attempts, less looks, despite Florida Gators fans on Twitter going, "Get out of 12 personnel, it's too bad." Yeah, all that stuff. Significantly less attempts. 52 of 68 passing, which is 76.5%, so jump of 5%-ish. 602 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. Average depth of target of 8.2 yards. So about 2 yards further downfield per target in 12 personnel. And yes, the Florida Gators use 12 personnel in the red zone more, which explains the touchdown to interception ratio, right? However, by that same logic, you would think the average depth of target drops at that point if you're doing it in the red zone a lot, right? Also, the pressure rate dropped from 38.6% to 27.3%. So 11.3% drop in pressure rate. Okay. He went from being targeted every 2.5, 2 3/4 dropbacks to being targeted once every 4. That's a pretty big jump, right? I feel like that's a pretty considerable jump. And again, there's reasons for everything. There's a million factors that go into things. Who did they run 12 personnel against? Who did they run 11 personnel against? What was the personnel in 12? What was the personnel? There's obviously a million things you could look at. And they all apply to context. But when you talk about, oh, he had more touchdowns because they were in the red zone, sure, but his average depth of target is better. Or I don't know if you want to say better, but deeper, right? His pressure rate was significantly better. And teams are pretty aggressive in the red zone, especially the teams Florida Gators played. Pretty aggressive in the red zone, especially because everyone and their mother swears that when the Florida Gators went 12 personnel, teams were just blitzing their lights out, and it led to so many more pressures. Not on a per snap basis. Not on a per snap basis, there was less pressure. Part of that is because, yes, when they were in 12 personnel, they'd keep Hayden Hansen in for pass protection, give you a little bit more time. But again, that doesn't dispute if they're blitzing more people and you keep one extra guy into pass block, then you should see a relative same rate there, right? Relative. I'm saying within 7 even percentage points. Nope. 11.3 percentage point drop. Pretty significant, in my opinion, at least. And then you could look at the analytical approach, because Florida is a team that uses advanced analytics to make decisions now. They've leaned into it. I mean, you even hear Billy Napier in the press conference, I forgot whichever interview he did. He was like, yeah, like on an EPA per play basis, like we're pretty good. EPA per play is expected points added per play. Okay. Graham Mertz's expected points added per play in 11 personnel was 0.072. Okay. His total EPA was 23.86. Okay. Total EPA per play for 12 personnel total EPA is 13 in 12 personnel. EPA per play, 0.169. So 0.072 for 11 personnel, 0.169 in 12 personnel. More than double. 12 personnel was more than double as effective as 11 personnel. All right. You want to talk about what? Points earned per play? Analytically, again, 11 personnel, 0.189. 12 personnel, 0.421. Huge jump. Again, more than double. More than double. Positive play percentage, 11 personnel, 45.4%. 12 personnel, 55.4%. 10% more. 10% higher positive play percentage in 12 personnel. If teams are blitzing the lights out, then how are you producing more positive plays? If you're running the ball, you're throwing the ball. And as far as running the ball goes, Montreal Johnson's EPA per play in 12 personnel was 0.08. Okay, so every time he touches the ball, 0.08. They were gaining 0.08 points per play, points per time Montreal Johnson touched the ball in 12 personnel. 11 personnel? Oh, that's interesting. Montreal Johnson's EPA per play in 11 personnel, negative 0.035. They were losing points per time Montreal Johnson touched the ball in 11 personnel. But you swear to me that when you win 12 personnel, it was way worse because they were blitzing more. Interesting. Boom percentage. 11 personnel, 25.8%. 12 personnel, 33.8%. 8% increase. Bust play percentage. 11 personnel, 19.1%. 12 personnel, 14.9%. 4.2% difference there. Better in 12 personnel. Interesting. The only stat you can dispute is touchdowns. You can go, oh, they used it more in the red zone. Every single number here is better in 12 personnel. And it's not to say that 12 personnel is better. I don't care. That's a personal preference. If you like 11 personnel, you like 12 personnel, that's fine. What I am saying is to stop going 12 personnel doesn't work. Because here's the thing, really, neither of them worked awesome. One of them worked significantly better than the other, and it's not the one that people are pounding the table for. I'm just saying context matters. And contextually, if you go 12 personnel bad, you bad. That's the only thing that I can take from that, is that if you hate 12 personnel for the Florida Gators, you're just saying that you don't know ball. That's it. That's all you're saying there. Because by every metric, they're significantly better in 12 personnel. There's two disputes. You could say they were in the red zone more, so that disputes the touchdowns, sure, but it also is then negated by the ADOT, by the pressure rate, because if your argument is that, well, when you go 12 personnel, they blitz more, your Montreal Johnson's EPA per play is better in 12 personnel. It's not awesome, but it's in positive at least. Graham Mertz's EPA per play in 12 personnel is better. His ADOT's better. His pressure rate's better. I don't give a damn if they're blitzing more if you're playing better. Right? I think most of us agree with that. I tend to go on the side of, hey, this is better than I want it. And you can also use the argument of 12 personnel has a smaller sample size, which is a fair argument, but it's a smaller sample size for Graham Mertz considerably, not so much with running the football. So I just want to throw that out there that again, that's just me saying, hey, you can hate it all you want, but to say 12 personnel isn't effective is to say, I don't know ball. That's all you're saying. That's all you're saying. That's it. That's the only thing there. We are about to talk about how 11 personnel and 12 personnel will look this year for the Florida Gators, which I think both sides will improve, largely due to the offensive line improving. But first, we're going to get a quick word from FanDuel. It is winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Crazy how the Pacers started playing a team that was healthy and started losing games. Wild how things happen like that. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and even more. And I'm just saying, I don't know if you know this. I feel like I've mentioned this before, but I don't know if I really have. I like betting on players to hit home runs. I do. I think you get pretty juiced odds. They go pretty well. I like betting on some of my favorite players to hit home runs. That's another fun thing that I like to do because, hey, I'm betting on some of my favorite players. And that's just fun for me. Like yesterday, Adley Rushman to hit a home run, 540, plus 540. Banged it. Banged it. I love it. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Go make yourself some money. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. I had to get riled up. I'm letting you know, like I had to for the 11 personnel, 12 personnel debate. Because here's the thing. It's not a great debate to have, but it's one that the public tends to go 12 personnel is bad. And it's not. It's just not. Factually, it's not. Look at it in any way, shape, or form you want. It's not. Just want to throw that one out there. 11 personnel is something that I do think the Florida Gators will be significantly improved in this year. That's a lot due to the offensive line. Because don't forget, when I was talking about 12 personnel, I said, hey, 12 personnel, you get the benefit of having Hayden Hansen pass blocking. However, I will say that does mean you have one less guy in coverage and it's harder to throw the ball, but you have a little bit more time. So there's a trade-off, right? I think in 11 personnel, you're more likely to have your 5 offensive linemen be able to do their job better this year. And so 11 personnel should see a massive jump. Usually, going in 11 personnel means that you've got your 3 receivers on the field, your 1 running back, your 1 tight end, and it means the defense kind of has to be in nickel at the smallest that they tend to go, have to be in nickel. Usually, that means, hey, we might have numbers in the box here. Because if they're in nickel and we're kind of spread out, they might be shifted around. We might have numbers in the box here, right? Could. Again, for Florida last year, Montreal, in terms of EPA per play, lost points per play that he ran the ball in 11 personnel. But again, I do. That's not to say 11 personnel is bad at all. Not saying that. I think that they both got their pluses. They both got their minuses. I think that they will be better in 11 personnel this year. But Florida, I do think in 11 personnel this year can kill people. Just outright can kill people. Because you've got Elijah Badger. I think that we'll see three main combinations. And I said this, I think even yesterday I said it. It's a blur. But I've said it before. I think you have Elijah Badger, Trey Wilson, and Chimere Dike in the slot. Like you have Elijah Badger out wide, Trey Wilson out wide, Chimere Dike in the slot. You can also have a combination of Elijah Badger, Khalil Jackson out wide, and Trey Wilson in the slot when you want to do that. This is 11 personnel. I don't care for the people that are then going to go, but you can have Elijah Badger out wide, Khalil Jackson out wide, Trey Wilson, and Chimere Dike in the slot. That's cool beans. That's not 11 personnel. So I don't care for that argument. But I will say Elijah Badger and Trey Wilson out wide, Chimere Dike in the slot. That's going to be a combo that you see a lot. Elijah Badger out wide, Khalil Jackson out wide, Trey Wilson in the slot. That's going to be a combo I think you see a lot too. Just as what it is. You get your two best receivers on the field in both of those situations in Elijah Badger and Trey Wilson. You get Trey Wilson in multiple spots, and you fill him with a guy that you think is a starter quality player at that other spot. Call it. Okay? Then you have Arlis Boardingham is, look, I love Hayden. I think everybody knows I'm a big fan of Hayden Hansen. Arlis Boardingham is more of the 11 personnel tight end guy. He's going to be out there, again, mostly. I do think that you'll still see Hayden a lot, even in 11 personnel, because I do think that he still gives you a guy that can stretch the seam. I mean, Hayden had the fourth largest catch of the season for the Florida Gators last year, this 40-yard catch against Florida State, I think it was. But we've seen him. He can get straight, right? You could put him in line and let him just run up the seam. And if they leave him, they leave him. Like we've seen him make things work as a pass catcher before. So I think you'll see that, and he also gives you better pass blocking ability if you do feel like you're getting blitzed. So I do think that when you have Arlis there too, you have that 11 and a half personnel type thing I talked about yesterday, and I've talked about multiple times before. Or I guess that'd be 10 and a half personnel, really, right? So we're taking a half from a tight end. And so you'd have that 11 personnel there. That's Elijah Badger, Trey Wilson, Chimere Dike, and Arlis Boardingham, or Elijah Badger, Trey Wilson, Khalil Jackson, and Arlis Boardingham. And it's like, all right, cover them. Good luck. Just like I said about Miami fans last week, like pick a God and pray, because it's just you just got to figure something out. Like it's not going to work out for you too well. It gives you numbers in the box usually. I think this year you've got improved offensive line play, quarterback in year 2 of the system, a running back that I do think will be healthy this year in Montreal. You've also got the stable of young running backs behind him. You've got a better receiving core than last year. Tight ends that were both young last year and will be developed better this year. And you're kind of looking at, hey, 11 personnel could be killer. I think 12 will be as well too. But 11 personnel could be a real killer. Like this team is built to do it. They are. I'm not saying they're not. They're built to do it. But again, Billy Napier is someone that has always stressed analytics. Billy Napier is someone that has gotten even more publicly stressing those analytics lately, where he just brings up EPA per play. 12 personnel is not going anywhere. Like just get that one right through your head. It ain't going anywhere, and it shouldn't go anywhere. So, but I do think that 11 personnel this year is going to be much more effective. I do, and again, Montreal's EPA per play last year was negative in 11 personnel. A lot of that's that he was hit at the line. Like he was just hit at the line of scrimmage consistently in 11 personnel, which also disputes the, well, in 12 personnel, they're going to blitz the lights out of it. You know what it was? Last year, they just blitzed the hell out of Florida all year anyway. They just blitzed Florida a lot. That's it. Because they could do that. You didn't have to, because you'd still get pressure, but they did it because it was like, okay, well, we'll just dismantle their offense. And when you've been 11 personnel and they're sending 5 anyway, then you're probably in just straight 1v1s with the offensive line and pass rushers. And they, I mean, statistically lost those a lot. So Florida, I do think that 11 personnel is going to be much more effective this year. Now we do have to talk about 12 personnel, which I promise you, you're still going to see a lot of this year. To wrap up today's episode of Locked On Gators, we're talking about 12 personnel, which, by the way, I don't pretend to be unbiased about things. right? Like I was in a Twitter space on last Thursday or something like that, and we were talking about starting tight ends, and I was like, oh, it's going to be Hayden and Arliss. And Eddie was like, you sure you're not being a little biased there about Hayden? That's like, first off, no, I'm not, because Hayden and Arliss are going to be your starting tight ends. No doubt in my mind. But two, I'm naming 2 tight ends because you're going to see 12 personnel a good bit. Like 12 personnel is always going to be a thing with Billy Napier, and that's an important part to remember. 12 personnel, wherever Billy Napier has had play calling responsibilities, 12 personnel has always been a big part of his offense. It's just a fact. And also, I will say, it should be. I think 12 personnel is, again, I think if I was a coach and I was building a team, I'd be like, yeah, like I want to go with 12 personnel. It's my favorite 12 personnel. It's my favorite personnel grouping, 12 personnel. I think you do whatever fits you, do whatever's best for you. But Billy Napier, throughout his career, has proven, hey, I'm in love with 12 personnel. I do. I just love it. And that's awesome for him, right? Like Cliff Kingsbury loves 10 personnel. That's awesome for him. I don't give a damn what you do. Do whatever is most effective for you. However, 12 personnel is going to be a part of the offense until it's proven to not be effective. And here's the thing. First off, boom percentage for 12 personnel was higher than 11 personnel. I didn't think that'd be the case because one of the big selling points of 12 personnel is that it's an efficient personnel. The EPA per play for Florida, pretty good. 0.169, not bad at all. But 0.169 there, right? Pressure rate's improved. Leads to less negative plays. That's why positive play percentage is 10% higher. It's also over 50% the positive play percentage. You're going to take that. Like it's the safer one there. It is. And I think that's what Florida Gators fans like. Even if 12 personnel isn't sexy, it's not explosive. It was for Florida last year. It's not, if it's not typically explosive, whatever it is, it's going to be something that Billy Napier is going to do because that's exactly what you'd expect him to. It's the safer option. He's going to do it. It's the more effective, efficient option. He's going to do it. If you don't understand the context, that's on you. But context matters in every way, right? And Billy Napier is going to call 12 personnel. And Billy Napier should call 12 personnel because, again, it allows you to have Hayden Hansen and Arliss Boardingham on the field at the same time. And I know Hayden's not thought of as a great pass catcher. I don't think he's a good separator. I've said that before. If you're a Locked On Gators insider, you've read my report. I've said I don't think he's a very good separator. I don't know how high his ceiling can get as a separator. However, damn good blocker, can win vertically, can be a red zone threat. Those are enough positives to say, hey, you should be on the field. Like if you can't separate a ton consistently, that's fine. That's fine. If you're 6'7" and you can jump and you can run 20.3 miles per hour, that's fine. Run straight, dude. You don't need to even separate at that point because when you say separator, you mean that they don't cut well, they're not very nimble. And I think that's a fair statement to make about Hayden. I think anybody can say that. Go, yep, that makes sense. I've said that about Marcus Burke, who I am a big fan of. I've said that about Aiden Mizell, who I'm a big fan of. Like, I've said that about guys before. It's fine. There are workarounds for things. When you have straight line speed and you're 6'7" and you can block better than some of the offensive linemen were blocking last year, yeah, you should be on the field. Duh. And Arliss Boardingham, like I've said, I said it again yesterday, and I alluded to it earlier in today's show. That 11.5 personnel, Sean McVay with the LA Rams, one of the best offensive minds in football right now. And again, if you disagree with that, that's on you. Like you can choose to be wrong. That's okay. Sean McVay has said, hey, Puka Nacua allows us to basically be 11.5 personnel. Before that, it was Ben Skoranek. They've done that a lot where they get to go, hey, we're really going 11 personnel, but we use one guy as like an inline tight end, as a fullback, whatever it is. And it's 11.5 personnel because you're kind of like a tight end, right? That's what Florida can do, but the opposite way. You can go 12 personnel with Arliss Boardingham, and really his ability as a pass catcher gives you 11.5 personnel. Khalil Jackson, Elijah Badger, whichever one of them you want, out wide. Trey Wilson out wide. Hayden Hansen in line. Arliss Boardingham in line, motion to the slot. in the slot, motion in line, whatever it is. And you've got a mismatch nightmare there where, again, you can go, okay, we're going to go light and try to attack you there. And Florida can just go, okay, you're going to go light. You want to go nickel right now? We're just going to run the damn ball. We're just going to run the damn football. You want to go heavy and you want to go with your 4-3 or 3-4, whatever it is. We're going to air it out. Try it. Like 12 personnel gives you that. 12 personnel with someone like Arliss gives you that. Where you go, okay, you can, like, the defense can dictate what's about to happen to you, but it's going to happen to you, and accept that and know that. And so 12 personnel is going to be something that you're going to see. 11 personnel is going to be something you're going to see. I think you do see 10 personnel this year. I think you see things open up a little bit. I think you see both 11 and 12 personnel be more effective because of the offensive line play improving. And again, I'm not saying to not have 11 personnel. 11 personnel is beautiful too. Especially when you have someone like Trey Wilson that can basically be used in the backfield. It opens up a lot. Having that versatility is important. And Florida's going to be, I think, good in 11 personnel and 12 personnel too. I know this seemed like 12 personnel propaganda. I want both of them. I want to make that clear. I also just want you to stop bashing 12 personnel when the film and the numbers tell you that you're wrong. And you just go, well, I don't like it. Tough cookies. It's going to be a thing. It's effective. It's efficient. Analytically sound. That's what Billy Napier's going to do. It's going to happen. And again, Florida has the floor. I know earlier I said, oh, Florida's like built to go 11 personnel a lot. They were built to go 12 personnel a lot. They're built to be a versatile offense that can really operate out of those two personnels a lot with 10 personnel as well. And you can kind of pick your poison of how you're going to lose the game. Offensively, roster-wise, they've been built to do that. And so I expect them to do that. I expect them to do that effectively. And next year, when we talk about the EPA per play, I expect it to be significantly higher. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free. We have this in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33. And I'll see you all next time.